Okay, recording has started. Thanks everyone for joining the, July 15th, I think, iteration of the MicroProfile live Hangout. And I am pasting a link to the meeting minutes in the chat. It is everyone's shared responsibility to take notes during the meeting. So please do so. It's very hard for me to moderate while taking notes. So everyone, please take on that responsibility. Let's see. If you are logged in, please go to the meeting notes and add yourself as a contributor to this meeting as well. All right. So I'll go ahead and get started here. Let me share my browser. Like I said, I hope my CPU being pegged doesn't slow me down too bad. Oh, my system ran out of memory. Hold on. I'm going to have to quit something.
Maybe Zoom is consuming all your CPU.
No, it's not Zoom. I've over-allocated. I've never actually ran into this problem on this laptop because I upgraded to 32 gigs of RAM, but I tend to oversubscribe. So let me see if I can exit some things here. I just exited out of something that should free up some RAM, I hope.
Just leave Slack. That'll give you plenty of memory back.
Yes, actually, it's open. And CPU.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that's enough to free up. I am going to try again and share my screen. I apologize, everybody. Gotta find, oh man. Which screen is Zoom on? I lost.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Oh, here we go. Let me try again. Share. And Google Chrome. Okay, is Chrome being shared now?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Sorry about that. Running into some technical difficulties. Kevin, are you on?
I am on now.
Okay. Do you have admin rights?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, I will add admin rights to Kevin. He is now co-host. Okay, so the agenda for this week, we have the standard roadmap update followed by a list of items that were on that we couldn't make last meeting. So there's no, from what I can tell, there's no new items since the last meeting. Okay, so I will go ahead and lead this iteration of the roadmap discussion. So Edwin, if you maybe want to do the next one.
Yeah, sure, I'll try.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll lead this week's, and if you could do the next week's, this will kind of give you a little bit of an idea how we handle it, how we cover the discussion. All right, so I've seen some activity this week around the standalone specs. So I see some updates here. Yep, those are the updates I was expecting. Reactive messaging 1.0 is released. Context propagation 1.0 is released. Clap here for those involved. Thank you very much. Any update on GraphQL? That's the same message as last week. Not that there has to be. This isn't a push. It's just a status.
I'm not sure who else is on, but from my side, there's nothing to update.
That's fine. Okay. LRA looks like Mike's going to be doing an RC1 this week. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, the only thing we're waiting for are the CQs, all of which have been approved apart from one, which should go through because we've piggybacked on something else. We also have 2 outstanding pull requests. So once those 2 items are cleared, we can go ahead and start and create the job to create the release candidate.
Okay, if you could just do me a quick favor and note those 2 items, that would be awesome.
Sure.
Let's see, MicroProfile 3.1. To this point, we have a config update, a metrics update, and health check will probably have an update. Martin, are you on? Do you have an update there on the probably?
Yeah, I'm here, but I don't really have any update.
Okay. So, are there any other specifications targeting MicroProfile 3.1? Okay. All right. So it looks like what I'll do is I'll create a release for this for these 3 specs. That ends, I guess, the roadmap discussion. Unless there's any last comments. Alrighty, Gordon, you have the next topic. Take it away.
Okay, so is Amelia on the call? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, good to hear you. And yes, Amelia is on the call.
She's muted.
Yeah, she's muted.
Okay.
She may not be in a place where she can talk.
Okay.
I am in the patio, but we have friends, so it's like quiet mode. So I'm like, okay.
Okay, well, I think where we got to, when it came up last time, David Blevins suggested that I proposed some draft text, which I did in the Google Groups thread, which is linked off of the agenda item. And then we went off, Amelia suggested creating something off in the Google Doc off in the shared folder, which we did. And then there was sort of various editing to and fro. But I don't think that's quite settled yet. And I think the other update is in the interim, because the way I'd originally asked, it had gone to the Eclipse Foundation to sort of think about the topic. I think they were already kind of conjugating the topic. So there might have been some discussions with you, John, or Kevin, or somebody like that about what they think about the topic in the meantime. But I think the main thing pending from my point of view is whether we should submit to the Eclipse Foundation just sort of layman's English, or whether we should try to be more formal in the language.
So, Gordon, do you have we created a link and we went to the drive, and I think maybe only you and I collaborated in that document. Because it's not exclusive just to using, for job groups to add MicroProfile to them, to the name, but also use the logo and all these other things, right? There was one part where anyone that is a user of MicroProfile needs to sign the agreement with Eclipse, just the agreement, if you're a coder or something. There are some things we just need to double check. So if we open the document, it has some data in there, but
I'm not sure. I'm not sure there's a consensus on that, because my take is that if somebody wants to create a user group and call it MicroProfile, then I have no problem with them doing that. And if they write to the Eclipse people, as I did, the Eclipse people will return saying, "No, feel free, just honor our standard respect for use of the logo and mention the Eclipse." So I don't know why we as MicroProfile community would make it harder than it is already.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
So why would we get them to have to kind of sign an agreement then? Or
The thing is that it doesn't follow the Eclipse agreement, right? Like if you want to be a contributor of MicroProfile, you don't need to become a committer. You can be a contributor, but in order to work in the Git, you need to do that. The groups are different, but they will still use the logo, and the logo is a property under the Eclipse Foundation. So do you see what I mean? That is where all of us have signed as vendors or individuals that agreement. There's $0 associated with it, but it's just part of the compliance.
So I can't really vote for that myself. I don't want to repeat myself. So I guess it's a case of how we resolve. I mean, the mark is actually owned by Eclipse, isn't it? So I think it shouldn't be necessary for somebody to proactively go through the steps you mentioned and to create a MicroProfile user group.
From a legal point of view, there are a few kind of things you have to consider when using a mark or allowing others to use the mark. And I really recommend reading up on the Apache Foundation page about the trademarks, because they kind of we kind of collected rules which are probably the same for every open source foundation. The problem is that there might be parties which at some point in time try to abuse a mark or steal it or take it away, and then the community has to actively defend it, and you have to start early to defend it. So we clearly want to allow others to use the mark, but in a fair way, and you have to make sure that all those other parties are using it in a fair way.
Mark, you're correct.
That's absolutely correct, but is it necessary for us to do it differently than the Eclipse Foundation does it already for its other technologies? Why don't we just piggyback on that?
Yes, they are pretty strict actually, so that's okay.
I think I think it's recommended that everyone looks at the document that is still a draft and see, this is light. What I did is, because we have the Jakarta, we have a bunch of agreements that were signed not too long ago. So then it was fresh in my memory, and I used that saying restrictions, what not to do with the logo, with the marks. There are 2 marks for MicroProfile. So these are like what not to do with the logo. That's just like something that we talked 2 weeks ago on what not to do with the sandbox, right? So this is the same thing, super simple, but I think we have it right now on 2 pages document, and I think we can make it shorter because we're using the Eclipse trademark just for MicroProfile, and there are only 2 marks. That's it.
Well, I'm not an expert in this area, and I just have a different opinion. But you know, I'm happy to go with the people who own the marks, which is the Eclipse Foundation, and the people they hire to handle the legal stuff. You know, I have no expertise to add to that. I have no desire to add anything at all onto what Eclipse are happy with.
Yeah,
so
unless
if the community, such as if you can take other people with you, Amelia, then that's fine. But I don't think there's any point in us kind of discussing it until I agree, because I think that would be a very long time.
Mm-hmm. I think. Right. Yeah, I think we have the issue there in the doc. I think you also send it to the forum. We need more eyes to it to say, this looks okay, this is average before we submit it.
I'll take a look at it. I'll make sure that I take a look at the doc. I'll also take a look at the Eclipse. I kind of have it up there already, but Eclipse logos and trademarks guidelines. So I'll take a look at these various pages and kind of provide my feedback in the doc.
I think that's a good plan. I much prefer the original one than the sort of edited one, that's because in the Google Docs it's possible for somebody to apply a lot of edits, and the new version of the text appears or can be made to appear before the original. So I'm quite happy with the one that I wrote, whereas I think the one that's been edited is just making things harder. But that's only one opinion out of many, and no more valid than anyone else's.
No, it's good. It's good. It's just that I already understand the trademark, so I incorporated it here. But we can go through history, and it's going to be super easy to see what was done. So we should definitely take this offline and work as asynchronous.
Yeah, so I don't like the document that's on the screen at the moment. I would rather it was just simple.
Okay, this is not the one that you're looking at. The other one I have, no, that's the drive.
You can revert it. actually. You can copy paste and then revert the history and go back to the original. So
Well,
it's just,
I don't want to touch anything. I'll let between Amelia and Gordon, you guys figure out, decide, how you want to, which document you want to have, and then just come back and update the meeting minutes so that we can all point to the same doc.
I'm not sure how that's going to work because we just have opposing opinions, to be honest.
yeah, we do.
John.
Okay.
Someone needs to go in there and just look at it.
I'll still go in here and I'll take a look at it. I'll be honest, I'm not sure why we have to do anything different. So I'll read. I'm kind of along with Gordon on this, but I'll take a look at it to make sure I understand what the issue is.
Okay, so Gordon, I was wondering, I mean, I know that we had, I don't know if it was you or me or whatever, but we dropped a note to the, Eclipse EMO, or not the EMO, but the person in charge of the IP stuff and the licensing, and wondering, can we simplify this along the lines of the GNOME license? So the only response I remember seeing from them is, "Oh, thanks for the input. We'll consider it." Has there been anything more?
No, that's where I think we were.
Okay.
So is there any precedence for setting up other user group in Eclipse? If there is, I mean, it's much better to take a look at that project, etc.
Right, and I don't think we found anything.
Right, okay.
It should be simple. It's just that there are no examples. No one has done it before, so we are likely the first ones.
Well, the Eclipse do have an agreement, or a thing that you must abide by if you use the names of their technologies. And I believe that one of their examples is, if you create a project, you have to say, this is something for Eclipse, Shay or whatever. So it's kind of linked to, in the bottom of the text in the Google group, it's brand guidelines, and it talks about, what you're allowed to do, basically. But they've spent a lot of time writing this document and invested, it's obviously had a lot of thought gone into it. I just don't have any expertise in what to cover, and I don't have any knowledge about what the Eclipse Foundation's requirements are. But I don't want to add any requirements on top of that.
Yeah, you're correct. No requirements. We shouldn't add that to something that doesn't exist. I agree. So then John is going to check it out for us. Since only you and I and everyone else here who would like to see and read the original, you can just revert it. I am not attached to anything. So the simpler, the better. You will always win me with simple and better long term. It can be reiterated, provided the feedback by the jogs. That is what interests us.
All right. So I'm going to go back to the meeting minutes. So I'll take a look at that and provide some feedback, either this week or next.
You're awesome, John. Thank you. And thank you, Gordon, for bringing it to the forum, then to the Git issue. You follow, it was easy to quickly check it out.
Okay.
So, all right. Jorge, try to organize micro conferences about MicroProfile with local user groups.
Hello, everyone. I almost forgot about the call today. I just joined the call.
Hey, Jorge.
Hi. I opened an issue in the MicroProfile marketing repository in GitHub. It's the number 126. This is something like, I don't know if you heard about the Kotlin Everywhere events. There are events for Kotlin language organized by local groups in every country, every city. So the idea is to get something like that, micro events, no pun intended, events that will have 1, 2, 3 talks, half day or all the day, but events that can be organized by local groups maybe we as a contributors can generate some content like a presentation template or a t-shirt template or a sticker template, so every user group can focus only on the venue or sponsorship if that apply, and organize micro conference about a micro profile.
Okay, so yeah, I like the idea of organizing microprofile topics in existing venues like Java user groups. So, I mean, personally, I think it's a good idea. It does sound like it's potentially a pretty big effort. Is there a way to maybe, you know, I know the Oracle folks kind of reach out pretty broadly to the Java user groups. I don't know if that's something that's limited to Oracle. I don't recall from what back in my days when I worked there, or if that is something that others can, you know, where other groups like MicroProfile or Jakarta, right, could leverage Oracle's kind of reach into the Java U groups to maybe promote something like this.
So this is can I just jump in to say something? This is quite related to the next agenda. So basically, I put together about list of the local JAGs. So so basically, if you click on that list, John. So basically, why I come up with this idea is because Dublin user group invited me to go to do a talk about a couple of talks about MicroProfile at the end of July, and also I'm going to do a talk in London as well. And then from the conversation with them is like local JAG communities welcome the like MicroProfile talks and etc. So that's why I built up this list, and with like so many macro profilers around the globe. So I would encourage, because I built up this list, I would encourage people at least from this call and have a look which JAG is next to you. So you go up, because I got all the Twitter contacts and they are pretty active and very willing to do macro profile talks. So it would be awesome if people get in touch with the local JAGs and then put your name here and then you propose kind of micro profile topics, etc. So we make sure we get connected with local Java user group and etc. And this is a great way to like spread the knowledge about micro profile, so reach to a lot of Java developers. So also I was given these two links. So the row 41. So this one is I think is a if you click on that. So this is the whole JAG like members, and some of them I don't know how like active they are. I think this is from built up from Oracle maybe. But the list I put in, they are pretty active, and a lot of them being added by the local JAG community. But I would encourage people to like take a look at this list and add your name there, and then get in touch with the local JAG and trying to do some talks.
I really like this.
Sorry.
Emily and yes. Jorge, Gordon, I really like anything that has to do with JAGs and JAGs wanting to learn more about MicroProfile if they have no idea about it, or about, it's not that we need to travel to just cover it. We can enable them to speak and create a documentation, share the presentations. This is a totally new level. There is a document that is being worked on to swag for MicroProfile, which will enable an individual, not a vendor, but anyone, to say, I want to sponsor 25 t-shirts for MicroProfile for this JAG. And that is a part of this system. And do you see what I mean? We enable anyone. When I was in Japan, a few people told me, why is it that if I'm an individual, I'm not able to buy 50 t-shirts? Shouldn't I be? Because there were 7 different tags in Japanese and 1 in English. on MicroProfile. It was beautiful. And I thought, oh, this is great. So then went back in there and made it 25 is the minimum that we can have in the United States with the vendors. But every country has different standards. So we're talking about a different situation here. And all of it is linked to enable communities to speak up. It doesn't need to be one of us. They can do it themselves. They can be those heroes, those champions distributing the knowledge. And this thing is wonderful, Emily. Freaking adore it. So yes.
Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we talk between us, Amelia, regarding these swags, etc. I think with this promotion, etc., it'd be really, really good. If we can have some funding with some T-shirt and shipped to the local community, that would be awesome.
Okay. And I apologize. I don't. I'm trying to avoid this becoming a marketing discussion. For what?
Yes,
for what should probably be happening on the marketing list.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't go more details. That's it. So my next point is also, I know Heiko is typing. Also, I think it's good if we can group this local JAG, like Heiko is in German-speaking countries, and maybe it's we have a rep there. Maybe a volunteer Heiko, Heiko will be the rep, and etc. Maybe the Heiko is not one to go to visit a local JAG. However, the Heiko trying to offend people and go to visit local JAGs, so that we can make sure we can have frequent MicroProfile talks in the local JAGs.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just added this and also the previous topic, the EclipseCon Europe Community Day. The iJAG has the advantage that you can potentially reach all the German JAGs with one go, and they have this newsletter that they send. So if there is a talk about MicroProfile in one JAG, the newsletter mentions that, and the others can see it. So it may make it easier to get bookings between quotes. And they also have this German Java magazine that they produce, a print one, which could be a nice multiplier.
Yeah, Wolfram writes that. He's really good at it. But we have also Jorge. Jorge is part of the Latina Mara. So we have reach. And also we know who runs the champions and groundbreakers. I can take it on my side to talk with them and the next 2 weeks and say what we bring on that, just do a little bit of research. But we have Jorge, Latina Mara, and also the Spanish JAGs. What cover and everything that is Central America, Latin America. So it's pretty cool just to connect with one email to hundreds.
All right, so this is again, I think a marketing activity. I think it's pretty awesome. I think we should keep track of this in the marketing group. If you need to pull people in from this group that don't normally attend the marketing meetings, Emilia or Jorge or whoever is interested, then go ahead and do that. Tag them or reach out to them directly.
However, I do think because here is more people from around the globe who are not marketing people and attend this call, because I really want to bring up so that is kind of trying to get people to sign up. It's not looking for the marketing person. And
yeah, they don't. If you send someone that is marketing, it's going to fail. This is why this is successful, because we are separating that. We're very execute, less words, and go for it. So let's do the work in the background, and we will do the forum and follow up like this, just organically but faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I'm just referring this is not a marketing thing.
Yep. All right. So let's track this in the other group, but in the marketing meetings. But we could also discuss it in the MicroProfile chat groups. So that's fine in the Google group.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Just a question.
Yep.
When is the marketing call for these topics? When?
It happens on Mondays before this call at 10 in the morning.
So it was yesterday.
Yes. But okay. I don't think for some reason, I heard that there was no attendance. So I imagine that because we moved to the repo, we're moving to the forum, we're more transparent, we're less verbal. So it seems that it didn't happen, but I will check the minutes to see if what went down. But usually we use the Git, we go to the forum, and then if we need to meet, we meet really quickly, and we just move on.
And I think it's in the MicroProfile calendar, correct, Amelia?
It is. It is,
okay.
And it's always one day before this one at 10 in the morning.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that kind of hits those two topics. Thanks, Jorge. Thanks, Emily. I'm not trying to boot the topic. I think the topic's important. I just prefer to cover the marketing stuff in the marketing groups. So
John?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
so I know that not everybody would be happy to follow this model, but one of the things that we do with Jakarta EE is that we have a representative from the marketing committee talk to the group. So maybe that should be one of our standing items, just like we go through the roadmap. Maybe we can allocate 5-10 minutes or whatever to the marketing.
We did that for a while early on, actually. And we kind of got away from it because it started out at 10 minutes and then it became 20.
Yeah, I know that's the problem, but you have gotten very good at keeping people on task. So
crack the whip, man. So I mean, I can do that, right? I mean, if we want to have a standing, I actually don't think it's a bad idea. All right, we had it. It just got a little bit long, and as I've gotten better at cracking the whip, keeping us on track with the agenda, then I mean, we can give it a go. Come back and do, but it's all marketing topics. It's not just this, a topic. Right. So if we want to set aside 10 minutes to go over marketing items, let's hear feedback on that. What do other people think?
I want to hear from someone that is not really in marketing. Like what is it? We have Anatol here. We have Philip, Ken. What do you guys think?
Who wants to go first?
Yeah, on mute.
I can come in if nobody wants to speak.
Yep, you got your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed is a lot of the marketing materials are sort of from vendors to users, and we can kind of do more and more and more of that, and we can scale it to kind of smaller and smaller groups. But the kind of idea of pitching to jugs and having a MicroProfile user group, when it's sort of put in front of the vendors, it gets kind of all kind of muddied up. And the main idea of having a MicroProfile user group was to try to create a group that wasn't controlled by us, and to try and seek out if we could find some active users who aren't employed by any vendors to try and get a stronger voice.
That was not the question. I understand that was not the question.
Where I'm going to is that I think that if the marketing group, they're sort of one step separate from all the kind of vendors, people like us, basically. And that is maybe a good firewall to have, because then they're maybe a bit more likely to address sort of end users rather than kind of do more from vendors to users material. I think it'd be interesting to see if we can get them to support things going from users towards the vendors. So if we muddy things up even more, what I've observed with the mug and the jug topic was that all got kind of muddied up and sort of became, oh, well, we'll do more presentations to jugs rather than trying to get a self-sustaining, user advocacy group. So I would be against blending them together too much, because I think there's too much blending of more of the same myself.
I think this is two separate topics, and I think should look at each individually. I think for JAG, we can do it straight away. For MAG, I think is also need to look at the legal aspect, etc. And from a JAG point of view, I think is kind of we should have done this ages ago. So basically, So we should do more and more about it,
Yeah, but
and make best use this existing user group.
So let's go back to the question. Do we want 5 to 10 minutes into marketing for this call? That was
I can answer that question. From my perspective, I think maybe what might be a good compromise is maybe 10 minutes every second meeting, so basically once a month, unless there's something critical that needs to be done in that intermediary meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a huge amount that we need to know every 2 weeks from marketing, but maybe once a month, it's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm okay with marketing representative come to give us a quick update, because not everyone go to that call.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
am one on that
frequency, any frequency.
Mm-hmm.
If I may share my opinion on this.
Go ahead.
Since I'm not really a committer, because due to lack of time, when talking about user advocacy, advocating MicroProfile is mostly what I can do. So for me personally, I find the marketing aspect just as important as code. So I think the topics here that are discussed about marketing are the things that I find interesting and think, hey, maybe I can share some input there. So I don't, for me, it's value. It's value.
So
is once a month good enough?
Yeah, I will tell you, we have 2 people dedicated to that call. One is super technical to the point that he only codes. And he's there because we want to make sure that someone that is super technical is able to speak up to the people that have no idea about technicality in that call. What I know is that Emily joined one of the calls, and it was great because the 2 of them were super technical and they were able to say, no, we shouldn't do that, right? So they put breaks onto doing the same thing that Gordon mentions. So there are some balances put back that are realistically positive to that call. What I'm saying is branding and the message is consumed, and actually when we do a release, it's written by a technical person, and then we make it nice down there. However, the data goes from here to there, not from there to here. So you see that it needs to be one and the same voice. But marketing doesn't lead this group. Do you see what I mean? We're talking about the code, the users. Alex said something interesting. The website needs to become more friendly for users, because right now it's too technical for coders. So we are going to adjust that. That is a really good feedback, especially with the projects page. You see, because we have these kind of people that are like Edwin, that is super technical, once we get that data, if we present it here, we're like, we need to adjust it. We just need this break and balances. And I think it's important that some topics go in here. What I didn't like from before is that it will be so many topics and get boring in not prioritizing. There's always something to say about that side.
Yeah, I agree. I think.
So the topic on the table, or the question on the table is once a month frequent enough?
So I would advocate, I think MicroProfile should do more marketing. I recommend to do twice a month, every time. That's I think we need to promote MicroProfile more.
So then we do it twice, 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and if there is nothing to say, we just skip it.
Yeah, exactly. So wait, you don't have a chance to talk. Not very good.
Mm-hmm.
That's my vote as well.
All right, then we resolve it. Is everyone happy? Can we live with this outcome?
Yeah, let's try it.
I mean, it might be splitting hairs. I kind of prefer once a month, and to Ken's point, if it becomes, if there's something special going on, like we're trying to target a conference, then we can do it every week. That's my preference, but it might be splitting hairs because, if we set it aside every week, but if there's nothing to talk about, we skip it.
Not every week. I mean, every call, we have this call twice a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just most 10 minutes at most, and sometimes don't have anything to say. Yeah, that's fine.
So I will be cracking the whip. So
Do it. Go for it.
because we probably already spent 20 minutes on marketing topics on this particular call, so that time goes by fast. So my recommendation is, make sure that we have a prioritized list that's pretty concise, concisely stated that, that can fill that 10 minutes. Not fill it, but, if will fit within that 10 minutes if you want it to be talked about.
You should follow the same thing that we have right now. Like whomever is bringing from that call data here needs to have the points and gets or whatever, not come and just be verbal. If it's only verbal, it will fail and we should stop it. This is not a brainstorming session. That is what I mean.
Correct. It is a status. Even though we keep telling ourselves that this is not a brainstorming meeting, but it always is, to be honest. So I think over time, the reason why it's not an issue this week is we don't have a lot of topics. If we had a lot of like high priority topics, and not to infer anything to anybody, but I'm talking about releases and stuff like that, then a lot of the stuff would have gotten pushed off. I would have been a little bit harsher with the whip, but I think as time goes on, I'm probably going to be a little bit more stringent about keeping the status on busy agendas. So just a little bit of a heads up. And if I crack the whip too much, I need a little feedback too. So if some topics do need to be talked out. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a decision to the meeting notes saying we're going to set time aside with the understanding. Well, we're going to set time aside, 10 minutes each meeting for when we have marketing topics. So are we okay with that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
I just took photos. I'm going to tweet in a moment, just saying it's just so cute.
Oh, I had my hand out. Good thing it wasn't like this. All right. So let's go on to the next topic. Alex, Europe.
Hi. So yeah, I mean, this is a topic obviously that came over from the last meeting, but Edwin and I collaborated on the blog post that Amelia lit up Twitter with afterwards. And yeah, we went through the process. Edwin asked a number of questions, I provided answers, and then he turned that into a blog post that then he got onto the WordPress site, and then let's just say Amelia then sent that out over Twitter.
Yeah, I read that. That's awesome. Thank you.
I haven't read it yet. I'm guilty, but I will.
Really, really good.
And Edwin, Alex, is like, how was the experience? Because I know was from this call, then you were asked if it was okay. You went in there, and it's pretty much stated, for those of you who have not read it, such a beautiful blog. They didn't even go into just the questions. They made it into a blog, which is like, wow, they took the extra steps. But we want more. You are the example of making a process and giving the iteration. Would you recommend it to others? Is my question.
I certainly would. It sort of, I mean, really all the praise we just go to Edwin, because he turned it from question answer into a blog post that sort of told the story more than just question answer. But certainly it made me sort of think about my career, I suppose, somewhat, but also just where I stand in relation to MicroProfile and where I saw my contributions going, and now and hopefully in the future as well. And the fact that I was pulled into the call in the very beginning and asked to sort of say something meant now that I do say things in most meetings anyway. So yeah, I would certainly recommend it. It's a good way of getting people into the community and delivering something as even, as something like a blog post rather than just, in spec or anything else. So yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yes, I can recommend it as well, because I have been thinking, what if I were to be interviewed? What would I answer? So this made me set straighten my thoughts on how I have been introduced into MicroProfile and what I'm doing every day. And doing this interview with Alex made me know him way better than just seeing him here on the call, of course. So I think this is a very good way for us MicroProfiles as well as a community to get to know each other, because it gave me a very, Alex went back a few years from the start of his career until now. So yeah, there's more to just being here on the call and trying to provide input to a person that is providing input. So yeah, I think if we want to have a strong community, we have to get to know each other. So I think this is a very good initiative that's also being able to be read, of course, by anybody outside of the community in the hopes that they get warm and also join the MicroProfile community. So yeah, definitely recommend it.
And one of the things that many of you have not read it, but if you pay attention to the ticket, we use Alex and Edwin's iteration to create a document based on the steps that were taken. So now the document can be, is in the wiki. And if you know, I imagine that Edwin will be someone that needs to be interviewed by someone else, volunteer, and then it goes and it feels this way. But there is the documentation, it shows you exactly what they did. And it's just so simple. They don't need two people that are not me or Edwin or Alex can go in there and own this process. And it's so amazing because you're right. Code can be decomposed or whatever you call it. But then if the community is strong, we can make it. We can rebuild it. It's just so fast. When we know that Alex used to do X and now does this, and it just brings a level of closeness to him. So I highly recommend, please take the time, because the two of them worked on this and it was beautiful. It's a very beautiful blog. Emily, you read it and you tweeted it. So it's just beautiful, right?
Yeah, very good.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I will say is that is a picture of me on one day of my life, but I actually looked relatively okay on my wedding day. So
I was going to say, you clean up real nice, Alex.
Just never been the same.
I was going to say you have hair, then I saw you look forward and you got a hair bun back there. So, oh well, that didn't work.
Yeah, I'm clinging on to as much hair as I can, so just in case.
Yeah, but and John, you opened the wiki. So the wiki is under the repo of MicroProfile marketing, and any links, right? We don't have a call to action to do this, and I think we should add it into MicroProfiles IO to say, do you want to be interviewed and this kind of thing? But it's just so fun. Highly recommend. Please, everyone read the tweet. It's already pinged in the profile in Twitter. It's just so fun.
Mm-hmm. All right. That is the last topic that we have. Are there any other status updates anyone wants to give?
This is just for FYI, because it's like this time I did the standalone release. So it's I will draft a page about, I think it's Kevin recommended, maybe we should draft out a page about standalone releases, process, and etc. And so that anybody who are going to do any more standalone releases can follow. But from the experiences and etc., it's not too bad. It's okay. So.
Well, and I plan to restart the Growing Pains document here. I think I said that last time.
Oh, yeah.
I really, really mean it this time.
Yeah. I think we should discuss that topic about reactive messaging and etc. Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing I'd add is, if anyone's interested, I am going to try and post my sort of sandbox proposal for a logging specification, regardless of how far that actually gets. It might help test some of the discussions we've had in previous meetings about, like specifications not having implementations, or where that kind of specification, as I say, even if it doesn't become one, just where it would sit in an example, and it's obviously something that I'm doing myself rather than representing a vendor or anything as well. So might be just an exercise for the group, just for answering the questions that have been proposed previously. But I'll post something in the Google group, and obviously if you're interested, then have a look for that. But yeah.
That's great.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thank you, Alex.
We'll say that now. We'll see.
No pressure.
Totally awesome.
All right, everyone. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and close down the discussions here for the day.
I would say we have 10 minutes, so I recommend everyone, since we are ending the call, just read the blog. It's awesome, and participate. If you're new in MicroProfile, I want to be interviewed. Go into the minutes, into the guidelines. It's cool.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Same bat time, same bat channel 2 weeks from now, and I will see everyone online.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.